Iris Fall is a game that completely convinces at every step. It's an indie game. It's the kind of game you would normally see Ryan reviewing. But it fell into my hands. I gave it a go. I thought to myself, this looks pretty. And I've always been a fan of the shadow conceit. Using shadows in a game. And I feel like of all the games that have used shadows as a mechanic within the game design, I feel like Iris Fall is the one that's done it best. Because it doesn't stretch itself too much. Iris Fall is a short game. You can get through it in 3-4 hours. 3-4 hours easy. Unless you get stuck at some of the puzzles. But because it's short, it means that the game uses its shadow puzzles and its wee logic puzzles really well. You never really get the sense that you're playing through a kind of annoying puzzle that's just been in there to pad out the time. It's kind of all killer and no filler a wee bit. You're this wee lassie in the game who, here's the story, has woken up in the middle of the night and followed a weird shadowy cat out of her room. She's seen a shadow running ahead of her as well, and she's followed and ran into this weird house where lots of wee puzzles take place. The cool thing about Iris Fall as well was that it doesn't completely rely on the shadow stuff. The shadow stuff is a beautiful thing to look at, and it's a lot of fun to cast the shadows on the walls and navigate your way through the spaces in the game using shadows. But there's also, you know, different forms of puzzling in there as well. And it's this sense of variety that continues through Iris Fall that really captivates you. You're always wanting to see what the next room looks like, what the next puzzle's like. You're trying to piece together the story as you go as well. The story is very, very, light, very abstract as well. But it's a game that really, really works and knows exactly what it sets out to do. It feels very much, Iris Fall, like a game that's been designed using pens and paper. As if the designers have actually sat down and went, right, before we create the game, let's create the puzzles and understand exactly what these puzzles are going to be. And again, I wouldn't say to you that this is a difficult puzzle game, but there are definite moments where you have oh god, I've got no idea what I'm supposed to do here, and then it clicks. And it's getting that click right, it's getting that satisfying click. That's the difference between a game like The Witness, for example, which is another game I love, but is extremely difficult in places and extremely difficult to see what the designer's intention is. Whereas a game like Iris Fall, the designer's intention is always just around the corner. And so, you persevere because you're like, well, this feels really difficult right now, or it feels tricky, but I know that it's not going to be that tricky because this is a very welcoming, friendly game that wants you to play it, wants you to enjoy it, wants you to navigate these beautiful environments and enjoy the style of it. So it's pitched the puzzles beautifully well for a game that you can play across, 3 or 4 hours on a rainy day. This will be a perfect winter game, I think, for everybody. The summer is approaching its end. And so I think this is a game that a lot of people have maybe missed. They maybe haven't picked up on this one. Wasn't a huge amount of buzz. So I thought it might be nice to, I picked up the physical copy, I slapped the cartridge in, I was like, okay. Gave it a go, and I thought to myself, I need to tell the Consolevania viewers about this one because I think an audience with good taste is going to really enjoy the style of this thing and also just the elegance of the puzzles that are in here because it's very, very satisfying. I've got to show you here before we end the one puzzle that really locked me up was this one. And this is the interesting thing. Different types of puzzles in the game, and I've never been good at these types of puzzles where you have to kind of think a few steps ahead as you're trying to match these symbols up. And I've never been, you can ask Ryan about that, I've never been great at chess. So this was a stumbling block for me, but I got through it. You'll get through it as well. Iris Fall, check it out. Shadows.